guys, and welcome once again to another video. How are you guys doing? I know you're doing absolutely amazing. Today I'm going to be talking about the mortgage process from start to finish, and I've broken it down into 15 steps so that you can understand the complete mortgage process so that you can earn a home by 2026. I am here for you guys, and the reason why I'm doing this series is because people do not believe that you can own a home as a solo buyer. Like only you can buy a house in the UK, especially if you've got children, the responsibility and all that. In another video, I'm going to be talking about how to raise a deposit. If I've been able to do it, you can also do it. And in my community, I want to raise homeowners who are like me, who think it's not possible, because I've interacted with a lot of people and I've realized that there is some knowledge deficit, and that is why people think that it is not possible. So somebody came to comment on my video, and I'm going to put this comment here. She said she's been in the UK for 20 years and she feels like I'm lying that I bought a house. Like, really? You think I would lie to the whole world that I've bought a house when I haven't? And I don't even blame you, because you don't know who I am. I'm a go-getter. Anything I want to get, I get it. So those that know me in person, nobody would doubt me if I said I have bought even 10 houses, because they know how I operate. And as I said in another video, I'm going to be talking about how to raise your deposit, right? If you do not know, you need to buy your house in the UK. I'm telling you, as a migrant, buying a house will save you a lot. And I'm going to tell you why again in another video. Because the day I realized I needed to buy my house was the day I calculated my rent and how much I'm paying to somebody's mortgage. So for the past 3 years, I've lived in this house. So this is a rented house I live in. I'm still packing out. If you can see this sofa, it's got nothing in it. The sofa is going to be collected by British Heart Foundation very soon. So I'm putting things in order for them to collect for charity. We are still in the moving process, but I want you to own your house. Now, I have paid 1,400 for the past 3 years of living in this beautiful house. And calculating 1,400 multiplied by 36 months of living in this house is 50,400 British pounds. 50,400 British pounds. That's how much I've paid to my landlord towards his mortgage. Guys, if this doesn't scare you to get your own property, aside other things that we face as renters, I don't know what else can motivate you. Like the stability that you get, the fact that I'm going to pack out into my own home, feels so surreal. Anyways, without wasting any of your times, guys, I'm going to be telling you the 15 steps in your home acquisition journey as a single or as a solo buyer here in the United Kingdom. I think the process is generally the same, whether you are solo or you are buying as a couple. But I'm going to be focusing more on solo ownership. The only difference is that when you're buying as solo, all the checks that are going to be done is going to be done only on you, this one person. But if you're buying as a couple, the checks are going to be done on both of you. I hope it makes sense. So first things first, you need your deposit. If you're buying a home on a mortgage, you need to get a deposit. So the deposit is how much money you're putting down to tell the banks that this is my commitment to buying this house. This is a percentage I want to put towards buying this house. And then the bank, in addition, will add the remaining percentage to make it 100%. So if you've got indefinite leave to remain, you can put down a minimum of 5% deposit just by the fact of your status in the country as a PR holder. Without indefinite leave to remain, I think it's above 10% going. Some banks even take 25% if you are on a visa. It depends on your bank. It depends on criteria. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on your personal circumstances. And that will bring me to my next, I'll explain what you need to do as you move forward. So your deposit is really important. In another video, as I said, I'm going to tell you how to raise your deposit. In fact, how I raised my deposit to buy this house I have bought. The deposit raising doesn't take a month or two. It's done over time. So you have to start early. So if you want to buy a house like 2026, you should have already started raising your deposit. If you want to buy a house in 2027, again, you should have already started raising your deposit. And I think the reason why a lot of people get, the setback is the raising of the deposit is the biggest deal. Apart from that, I think every other thing is really straightforward. So if you are not disciplined enough, you cannot raise a deposit. And without raising that deposit, you cannot put your leg on the property ladder. So after you've raised your deposit, or while you're in the process of raising your deposit, you don't need to finish raising the deposit, right? What I did was I didn't finish raising my deposit. I started doing what we call the house search. I started envisioning the kind of house I wanted to buy. I wanted a 3 to 4 bedroom house, the description, the location, and all that. You can start doing that unofficially. You don't need to go and view the house. You can start searching, because that gives you a kind of idea of how the market value is like and what you should be looking for in properties, right? When you have searched for your property, the next thing you want to do is to speak to a mortgage advisor. Do not forget this. Speak to a mortgage advisor, because they are the people that can tell you the exact thing to do based on your personal circumstances. They are going to look at your salary, your income. I mean, your income is your salary, right? Whether you're self-employed, you are, a part-time worker, a bank worker, an agency worker, full-time worker, your outgoings. They'll look at your credit score. They'll look at those figures and put it together and tell you how much the bank can borrow you. So after you've spoken to a mortgage advisor, the next thing is that they're going to be giving you what we call the agreement in principle. Technically, the agreement in principle can be done online. You don't need to speak to a mortgage advisor to get an agreement in principle. But for me, I feel like it's just safe to speak to a mortgage advisor after they've advised you. Then they will give you the agreement in principle. So they're going to be asking you, what is the property value, or how much is the house you want to buy? You can give them a rough estimate. It doesn't need to be definitive that is the house you want to buy, but I can just give a rough estimate. Okay, I want to buy like a £200,000 house, just an example, right? And then when they've looked at your figures, they can tell you whether you can afford or the bank can borrow you that amount of money. Again, if you're raising a £200,000 house, it means that your deposit, if you're putting down 10%, is £20,000, right? So that is just how it is calculated. Whatever the price of the property you are buying, 10% of it should be your minimum deposit that you're going to be putting. And then also bear in mind that the lower the deposit you put, the more your monthly repayment is going to be. So it is safe to say that if you can put in more as your deposit, it is better to put in more as your deposit. After you've spoken to your mortgage advisor, you've gotten your agreement in principle, the next thing you want to do is to start gathering your documents. In fact, I think that the document gathering can even start whilst you're also searching for the house. There is no right or wrong way of doing it. The documents you will need are your pay slips, and I would say that go as far back as 6 months pay slip. They'll need your account statement or your bank account statement, and I'll say that go as far back as 1 year for your bank account statement, because my solicitor asked me for 1 year bank account statement of all the accounts that I've held for anti-money laundering checks, and I'll speak about that in a minute. So gather your 1 year bank account statement of all the accounts you've held, and also get your pay slips as far back as 6 months pay slip of all the jobs you do. It doesn't matter whether you want to use all your pay slips, all your jobs. For example, myself, I do 2 jobs, but I only use 1 job pay slip to buy the property, because I wanted to see a true reflection or representation of my life after buying, the house. I don't want to do 2 jobs. Definitely, I would not do 2 jobs. So I used only 1, pay slip, and that was more than enough. If the price of your house is higher and you want your borrowing power to be high, then it's important to add more pay slips, which is more overtime and all the things that you do just to boost your the amount of money the bank can give you, because usually the bank will give you between 4.5 to 6 times of whatever your annual salary is. So if your annual salary is, let's say, maybe 50,000, multiplied by 4.5 is 200 and something thousand. That's how much the bank can borrow you as a solo person. So it is very important to boost your salary just when you're about to, get onto the property ladder. It's important to work hard just so that your pay slip looks appealing. It looks very good to the borrowers or to the lenders that are going to borrow you money to buy that property. So when you have gathered your documents, you also need your credit report, right? You need a credit report. Make sure that you do not have any missed payments. Your credit report is clean, is good. You haven't used your overdraft. You haven't gone beyond your credit limit. Like, stay within your limit so that I get a good credit report. If you want to know how to build good credit reports, I think I've done a video on it about 3 years ago. I'm going to leave it somewhere here so that you can go and watch on how you can build your credit report or your credit history. So after you've spoken to your mortgage advisor, you've gotten your agreement in principle, what you want to do is start viewing houses. So go in person to view the houses. And I will highly recommend that you have a list of questions you have to ask the person who is doing the show round. about the house that you want to buy. You just don't want to go and watch or see a property without asking questions. Whether it's new built or old built, you should have to ask questions, because the new built houses, right? I've gone on lots of show homes or home shows, so I know what I'm talking about. With new built houses, sometimes, you know, there is a dummy presentation showing you that there's the model house that we are selling. However, the house doesn't come with a lot of appliances. It doesn't come with a lot of things. So if you want them to add those things to you, it comes at an extra cost. If you do not ask, you'll be in for a surprise, because there are a lot of things that will not come with the house. And you'll be like, why didn't you guys showed me this? Why giving me that? It doesn't come with the house. So you want to ask, what comes with the house? What is accompanying this house that I'm viewing with the price that you're giving me? If it's an old built house, you want to ask questions like, you know, how long the boiler has been replaced or serviced. You want to ask how old or how long the house have been surveyed, whether there's been any extensions or modifications, were they approved, the roofing, you know, the carpets, the wallings. You need to ask questions and you need to check for yourself. So go with your own checklist. If you want to know the checklist to have when you're going to especially view an old built house, let me know and I'll do a video on that. So when you've gone to view the house, you've asked the questions and you are happy with the house, the next thing you're going to be doing is to putting in an offer. The offer you're putting in is to tell the person that I've seen your house, I'm interested in buying it, and I'll buy it at this price. So this is the trick. If you see a house of £200,000, that doesn't mean you should pay £200,000 for the house. You can negotiate, okay? You can negotiate and buy it for £180,000. And that is why you see a house, the same house, the same structure, two different people, one bought it at an expensive price than the other person, even though they are buying it maybe on the same date or even in the same month. It is your negotiation power. So negotiate the house, beat down the price based on what you've seen. Maybe the house will be in need of some modifications or modernization. You are happy to do that. Beat the price down so that difference in price, you can use it to modify or modernize the house to your taste. Remember that if they say the house is 100,000, you're not paying 100,000, you're paying 90,000 or 95,000, right? So keep that in mind. Next thing you're going to be doing is to get a solicitor. You cannot buy a house in the UK without a lawyer or a solicitor. You can't do that. Whether you're selling a house or buying a house, you need a lawyer, you need a solicitor. It is your solicitor who is going to be your legal representation, who is going to walk through the process. So after you view the house, you've got your solicitor, you just back off, you sit back, you leave everything to your solicitor to do it. It is only a solicitor that will instruct you to sign documents, to do this, to do that, and they're going to guide you in the process. That's why you need a solicitor. You need a solicitor. And it's also imperative to get a solicitor which is local to where you're buying the property. This is what I was told, because it fast tracks the process and then they can do some surveys and searches on your behalf if you don't live local to the place. So when you've got a solicitor, you instruct them to start your conveyance process. The conveyance process is the process of buying or exchanging of contracts between you and the seller. So the seller also have their solicitor. So now the two solicitors are going to do their job. And then the seller and the buyer, you sit back, you relax and enjoy. Now, whilst your solicitor is in the process of, getting your documents for anti-money laundering checks. So they do something we call the anti-money laundering checks. They're going to check your documents, your bank account to make sure that there is no fishy transactions going on in there. And that is why you need to keep your account very, very clean. And as I said, that is why they can ask you for 1 year bank statement, as they asked me for 1 year bank statement, right? So whilst your solicitor is doing that, you would want to apply for your mortgage. So some of the banks do the application online, like NatWest, that's what I used. The application is online. So you go online, you submit all your documents, and then they are going to look through and they will going to tell or determine if they are going to definitively give you the mortgage, amount of money that you want to borrow. And so you need to put in the mortgage application quickly. I think with my application, it took about 8 days for me to get my mortgage application approved. And I think, as I said, my indefinite leave to remain played a very important or a big role in my home ownership or my home acquisition process. So after you've submitted your mortgage, if it is been approved, they're going to be giving you what we call the mortgage in principle. So the mortgage in principle is like definitively, yes, we're going to give you this money for this property you've seen, and we're going to forward the mortgage offer to your solicitor. So you don't do that. They're going to send it to your solicitor. And if you're using a mortgage broker, this is what the job of the mortgage broker, basically collecting documents from you and submitting to your bank and to your solicitor for you. But if you're doing it yourself like I did, that is the time you just pinch your mortgage advisor or your bank and you tell them, listen, could you please, fast track and send my mortgage offer to my solicitor? Even if you don't tell them, they will do it regardless. I think with mine, there was a bit of a hold. So my solicitor called me and I told her, listen, they've sent me my own. They need to send you your own copy. They haven't done that. And then she said she was happy to follow up. So she contacted the bank and then they sorted it out amongst themselves because I wasn't using a mortgage broker. After you've gotten your mortgage in principle and it's been forwarded to your solicitor, the next thing you want to do is to survey the house. Guys, do not buy, especially an old built house. Don't buy an old built house without doing survey. Do a survey of the house, do a survey of the environment, do a survey of everything, because you don't want to walk in for a surprise, right? So one of my service users, I work in a nursing home, and one of my clients, she's about 90 something, her granddaughter recently bought a house, and she gave me this idea. She said when her granddaughter bought the house, it was a nice old built house, she walked into surprises. She walked in to see a lot of problems and faults with the house that she had to fix by herself because she's already bought the house at that time. And that's one thing you don't want to do. So get a survey. The survey is going to show you every problem that is wrong with the house. And if you're happy to still go ahead with it, you know that these are the problems you're going to be facing. So do a complete survey, environmental survey, as well as the survey of the house. You can instruct your solicitor to get a surveyor to do that for you, and then you pay an extra cost in addition to your solicitor's fee. After you've done that, the survey is completed. They've sent your documents for title deed with the land registry. Is the job of your solicitor. They've done the conveyance. She's communicated with the seller and their lawyer. She's happy with everything. Your solicitor will give you a report. She will give you a report of the survey of everything that she's done when she went to see the house, or I'm using she because my solicitor was a she, right? But when he or she went to see the house, whatever they discovered and saw, they will give you a detailed report. My solicitor gave me to the extent that she even told me the number of curtains in the house, the number of chandelier in the house. So she'll give you a report and give you time to go through and read. If you need assistance, that is the time to get your friends who have been in the process before. And as I said, I am surrounded by homeowners. I am surrounded by people who bought houses, solo buyers, couple buyers. And so it's not something that was too difficult for me. So I reached out to people and asked them, like, listen, this is what the survey has brought out. What do you think? And then they gave me their own, share of whatever they thought I could do. So after you've done that and you are happy with the survey and everything, then your solicitor can tell you, if she has finished her job, she can tell you to fix the completion date. So the completion date is the date you agree to to bring everything to a close. So once you've done that, your solicitor will put your file together, everything together, and get you 2 witnesses. You have to get 2 witnesses to witness you buying a house. I think some of my friends said she only used 1 witness, but I used 2. I don't know why. Maybe because I was a solo buyer. I don't know. But I used 2 witnesses. The 2 witnesses do not have to be family members. They don't have to be people who are related to you. They could be friends, colleagues, acquaintances, anybody, somebody you can trust to witness for you. Can witness for you. In my case, 2 of my friends witnessed for me. They signed the day before completion that they are happy that I'm buying a house. We did everything electronically. So after you've signed, your witnesses have signed, your completion date is due, you go and collect your keys. And that is just how simple the mortgage process is. You collect your keys. So in my process, I saw the house on the 11th of August 2025, and I collected my key on the 29th of October 2025. Is that about 2 months and 2 weeks, if I'm right? You can do the maths. But this is the entire mortgage process and everything you need to know in buying a home in the United Kingdom. Guys, I wish you all the very best, and I hope you all become homeowners after watching this video. And I want you to show me your keys in 2026 of you purchasing your big mansion in the United Kingdom or in any part of the world where you are. But this process is strictly how the United Kingdom operates. I don't know how other parts of the world operate, but yeah, this is just how the UK operates. I wish you all the very best in your home acquisition journey. And until we meet again in my next video, guys, it's bye.